community. And today's webcast topic is CA Identity Suite 12.6.8 and support for CA Business Intelligence, or CABI 6.2. So today's presenter is Ehud Amiri, who is the product manager for CA Identity Suite, which includes CA Identity Manager and CA Identity Governance. And he will be presenting on today's topic through the slide deck that you should see on your screen right now, as well as a live demo, which he'll be popping in and out of throughout the presentation. If you have any questions during his presentation today, you can ask them via the chat window in WebEx or the Q&A panel, and we'll be happy to answer those questions as soon as we can get to them, either in the chat or Q&A panel itself or audibly over the phone. If they're answered audibly, I will let you know by typing it in response in the chat window or Q&A panel. We'll open up the call for live Q&A at the end of the presentation, so you'll have the chance to mute your line or unmute your line, and then we'll also release a poll to rate today's webcast. So I'm seeing that someone has an echo. So Ehud or Hilla, if you have the audio enabled on your laptop, can you go ahead and turn off the volume on your laptop, because that might be where the echo is coming from. All right, so I'm going to pass it over to Ehud. Ehud, thank you for presenting today. I really appreciate it, and I'm excited to hear about this update.
Okay, sounds good. Hopefully you hear me without an echo. Okay, so welcome everyone. This is exciting to be here. Again, my name is Ehud. Most of you know me. I'm the product manager for the Identity Suite, together with Hilla, whom I'm sure you're also familiar with. We are both the product managers for the product suite. We also have today our product owner, Isha, and we have a few representatives from development, so it should be a good conversation in this forum. Just one additional thing before we actually start. This is our first community WebEx or webinar for a while. And it is kind of an experiment for us, right? We want to see how we can, have more of these conversations with the community and collaborate on topics. And hopefully, this is just the first one in many that will follow kind of a similar pattern, or at least that's the intention or the idea that we have. We usually want to present a topic like the topic that we have today. Talk about that and maybe demonstrate it for 20, 25 minutes, not more, and then really focus most of the attention on a conversation. So your active participation in these events, not just as listeners, is really, really critical for the success of that. So hopefully we'll have a live conversation at the end. Okay. So let's get started. Okay. So the topic for today is CA Identity Suite 12.6.8 that was just released, and specifically the support within this release for the CA Business Intelligence or CABI 6.2. There were several communications that were sent to the community around changes that are happening in terms of the business intelligence, the embedded business intelligence within Identity Manager, Identity Governance, and now it's officially out there, and we want to spend the time to introduce it to the team. And again, I'm focusing on the last bullet here that says a lot of Q&A, right? The discussion. The discussion is really at the heart of creating this collaboration. Okay, so let's start with the short introduction for Identity Suite 12.6.8. We started to do these releases of the Identity Suite, and every time we do a release of the Identity Suite, it's actually a release of the Identity Manager, Identity Governance, and Identity Portal. So the three products were revised and shipped with a new release. The official GA date was just last Monday, April 18th. There was a communication to the community, and you can see there even a little bit more details than what I will describe today in terms of the introduction for the release. And as always, you go to the release notes and you'll see plenty of even more documentation around that. So everything that we are going to show today is already GA in the market, ready for use by you. I will not spend a lot of time on 12.6.8, but I think that it's a good release. It's a release that is making progress on multiple fronts. Just to highlight a few of the items, and each item like that is probably a topic for a separate review like this. We are introducing the Identity Performance Analytics. It's a new capabilities around dashboarding and understanding exactly what's going on in the system in terms of performance of the business processes related to identity management. It's available from the portal, and you have to be a portal customer to take advantage of that. We're also introducing a suggestion tool, continue to focus on the business user experience and the improvements around that, and this time providing real-time recommendations when you make a request. We also introduce the access certification user experience enhancements. It's a very thorough work, again, from the portal side in terms of exposing the certification capabilities in a different way, which is more personalized and allowing you to see most of the items that you need to see in order to make a decision within one screen. And there is a lot of effort around making the user experience in such a way that we basically allow business users to go in, do the certification, and focus on the certification in the way that best serve their needs so they can be in and out as soon as possible, reducing the number of clicks and all of that. Each one of these items that I just described is an item that requires, that I encourage you to go and see and read about that and learn about that a little bit more, and we perhaps will do similar sessions around that. Then we have the topic of today, the enhanced reporting framework and the move to CABI 6.2. That's where we'll spend most of the time today. There were also mobile enhancements and VPAT completed for the portal, and many other items that are outside this list, including additional platform support and addressing multiple issues reported from the field. So all of that is 12.6.8. I think it's a very interesting release. I encourage you to go and learn a little bit more about that. But today we will talk about CA Business Intelligence. So this is something that we have been hearing from our customers for a long time. Until this release, we were introducing what was called CABI 4, and even before that, CABI 3, which was based on SAP Business Objects. And we heard a lot of comments from customers in terms of both the platform itself and our implementation of that platform. So in this release, we are introducing a new implementation of the reporting framework, or the embedded business intelligence that we are providing. It is called CABI 6.2. It is a move that is across CA being implemented. It's not something that only the CA Identity Suite is doing. And there is a fundamental change in terms of the underlying embedded technology that we are using. We are using JasperReports from TIBCO. It's a much lighter weight platform. It's a lot more self-contained in terms of the application server that is already provided and all of that. And we also change a few small items, but important items, I think, in terms of the implementation, so that I think that the overall experience in terms of setting up the reporting server, doing custom reports, and using it is a lot more streamlined than it used to be, okay? There are also lots of consideration about, I'm existing customers, how do I move to the new platform, and what are the implications on me? We'll spend a little bit time talking about that as well, and if there are more questions, we can always drill down into the details even a little bit more. Okay, so what's inside in terms of the CA Identity Suite support for CABI 6.2? The first item to mention is that we have taken all the existing reports that were implemented in CABI 4 and migrated all of them into the CABI 6.2. So you have 24 out-of-the-box reports in Identity Manager, 10 out-of-the-box reports from Identity Governance, available with CABI 6.2 already at GA. The experience around that, and we'll see that in a demo in a bit, is a little bit more streamlined in terms of making it a little bit more embedded than it was before. So no external tabs that are being opened. It's all within a frame within the native user experience of Identity Manager and Identity Governance. We also took feedback that we received from many customers around the infrastructure. So with the new implementation, a single report server can be used for both Identity Manager and Identity Governance together. And that's what we will see today in the demo. The demo that I will show will have an Identity Manager report, an Identity Governance report, and behind the scene you can see the URLs. It's pointing to the same server, so the same instance used by both products. And then there is a set of other improvements that we are getting with the new implementation. So things like, when there is a graph implemented within the report, you can set up the graph type and customize that. There is ability to save multiple different formats. There is ability to search. The pagination works a little bit better. And so there are many smaller enhancements that comes with the platform itself that you can experience a little bit. We did also a change in terms of our reporting framework, and specifically around the snapshot, around the ability to basically auto-select the latest snapshot. So every time I run a report, it's always on the latest snapshot that is collected. And then there was an emphasis around the actual install and setup and how to streamline that process and make it a little bit more consistent between the two products and make it a little bit simpler. And that was also executed in this release. And the final point will be around the JasperSoft Studio. So the reporting that we provide out of the box is always great, but you as a customers always have additional requirements that are more specific to your environment, and the need for building custom reports is something that we have seen throughout the life of the product as critical. So with the new reporting framework, you also have access to the JasperSoft Studio to develop custom reports, and there is an explanation on how to develop custom reports using this framework. The good news is that you should be familiar with that, with the overall approach, because below the actual report definition, everything else that you're familiar with around the audit database schema, around the snapshot database schema, it's all the same as it was before. So you should be familiar with the objects. It's just a different tool to actually create the reports. So that's really what we are delivering. Just a little bit in terms of the architecture. We are now supporting a framework that really runs Identity Manager and Identity Governance running on the same reporting server. The reporting server itself is available on Windows Server, Red Hat Enterprise Linux. It supports Oracle and Microsoft SQL. and it is arriving with a Tomcat implementation. So so that's kind of the framework, a little bit lighter weight requirement in terms of just using Tomcat and not an application server and all of that. Okay, one of the topics that we kind of expect many of you to ask is, I'm an existing customer, what's going on with me? And so the CABI 6.2 is a replacement of the CABI 3 and CABI 4 that we provided before. As an existing customer that was active before April 1st, 2016, you may continue to use the Boxy 4 implementation with CA Identity Suite 12.6.8. So I'll say that in a different way. Identity Manager 12.6.8 and Identity Governance 12.6.5, right? Both releases of what we call Identity Suite 12.6.8 support both the new CABI 6.2 and CABI 4. So you have the option to continue to use CABI 4 right now and go to the latest and greatest release. And continue to use it, until Boxy 4 arrives to its own end of service, which will be end of December 2018. So you have all of that time to plan your migration to the Boxy. We do from Boxy, and we do encourage you to start planning that migration and consider the CABI 6.2. I think that's A, it's the strategic direction. B, we are going to introduce more enhancements that will take advantage of that framework, and it will set you up to a better place. And I think that the CABI 6.2 implementation is better for the needs that we provide in the Identity Suite. Okay. And in terms of the migration implementation, so all of the out-of-the-box reports are already available with CABI 6.2. We have migrated everything that you're familiar with, both Identity Manager and Identity Governance, to the new platform. And in terms of developing custom reports, you will need to implement the new custom reports using the JasperSoft Studio that I mentioned before, but it's really creating of the report representation because the underlying data is the same data that was there before. So it should be a streamlined process as much as possible. Okay, so that's kind of the note around the migration. I'm sure that we'll have many questions around this. And in the presentation that you will have access to the presentation, there are some screenshots around the report implementation, but here I'll just switch to a very short demo to show you the report in action. So let's start with that. So this is Identity Manager 12.6.8. Let me just sign in. When I sign in, you can see under System, there is a new task called Reporting. You go to the report server, and this is defining the connection between Identity Manager and the reporting server. You can see that I need to specify 3 items: the report server URL, the user ID, and password, kind of the service accounts for Identity Manager to access the reporting server. You have here the option to test connection to see that the reporting server is up and running and the credentials are okay, and then submit any changes. Okay. So this is how you set up the connection between Identity Manager and the reporting server. Fairly easy. 3 parameters and test connection, and you can do that. As an end user, when I go to the reporting tasks and I request a report, I can generate a report. And if you create more custom reports, you will create more tasks like that available for customers to actually run that. So that's the report, and the report is asking me, for this particular report, the user roles report. You have here 2 types of report. You have admin roles and provisioning roles. Which one do you want? Let's say that we do select all and click apply, and the report will be generating. Okay. and let me hide the option. So this is a report that that has this diagram available and a more traditional report. You have here 87 pages. You can scroll. You can save the report. Okay. You can actually externalize the report in multiple different formats, more formats than was there before. Let's do a PDF, for example. PDF will create a PDF file for you to have the same report in a more static way and use that. You can do things like, change the chart type from the pie chart, let's say, to a column or a bar. Column in this case that is presenting the same diagram in a different way, and there are other options around that. So that's kind of reporting, very short demo of reporting for Identity Manager. Okay, so now let's do the same for the identity governance. I just did the classic mistake of closing the browser. Okay. So let's go here. Type the URL of the identity governance. Type in the credentials, and we try to follow a similar pattern in terms of the connectivity and everything else for the connector server. So if you go to administration, there is a new task here, CA report server settings. You click on that, and the same three parameters of a URL of the report server. You can notice that this is the same server, username and password, and you can do the test connection as we did before.
Andrew,
okay.
Just make sure you're sharing your the demo screen. It went back to the PowerPoint.
I see. That's not nice. So you didn't see my my quick demo. Okay. Hopefully you can see that now. Okay. Thank you for that.
We can see it now. Sorry about that.
Yeah. I closed the browser and didn't open it again. So sorry for that. So here is the settings again. You go to the administration. You select here CA report server settings, and you have the same three parameters as I said before, and you also have the test connection as we have had before. So similar pattern in terms of configuring the connection between identity governance and the reporting server. And then in terms of running the actual reports, you select the universe, and you have the list of out-of-the-box reports. Again, the same reports that we had before, and I said that we are running the certification report, and of course, being a live demo, I have an issue here. But in theory, you will get the same kind of experience. The reporting will be embedded within the UI. I'll switch to the actual screenshot of that, and you'll be able to see very similar kind of behavior of showing the report within the identity governance UI, and configuring the parameters if there are parameters needed, and generating similar reports, and they look the same from the style and everything. Okay, so that's kind of the short demo that we wanted to show. And so with that, let me stop here. 24 minutes after the hour, so we are still in that range of 20-25 minutes. And let me open up the conversation. And please don't be shy and ask questions, and let's make that interactive conversation.
Great, thank you. Yeah, so if anyone has any questions, you can either ask them in the chat window or the Q&A window, or you can ask them over the phone line. You can unmute your line by pressing #6 or *6, or you can press the phone icon with the question mark if you're using the audio broadcast, and that will allow you to speak over the audio broadcast on your computer. So if you have any questions, I don't see any questions in the chat window or Q&A window right now. Does anyone have any questions on the phone that wants to unmute their line? Oh, we do have a question. Oh, go ahead. Did someone over the line?
No, this is Ehud. I'm just saying that I did see a few questions in the chat window already. Okay.
Okay, yeah, I see one from Imran. Is there an additional licensing charge for TIBCO/JasperSoft, or is cost bundled as part of the suite? What are other CA/IAM systems are supported by CABI? If clients are heavily invested in other reporting tools like IBM Cognos and want reporting in terms of those tools, how can we integrate?
Yeah, so let's break that into multiple questions, right? I think that the first question was, is JasperSoft or JasperReports embedded, and is there any additional cost? And the answer is no. There is no additional cost. This is an embedded component that comes with the product. Okay, so that's kind of the embedded business intelligence that we provide out of the box for customers. The second question, I think, was around what other products are using Jasper already, and I think this is a journey for CA to start to migrate more and more of the products into that platform. Right now, I think within security, I want to say that we are the first to actually release the CABI implementation. I think that there are other products that are in the pipeline to do that, and there are other products that have an approach of just exposing the data. That's kind of getting me to the third part of the question, and kind of saying to customers, you know, if you want to use reporting, use your preferred reporting framework. We provide you the data, an easy way to access the data. So that was the second part of the question, and then the third part of the question was, you know, let's say that I'm using IBM Cognos, let's say, as a reporting framework. Can you work with that? And the answer for that is yes, right? In the Identity Suite, we are publishing the schema, as I said, of the snapshot database and the audit database and the IG relevant part of the database. And so we basically view that as an API. We provide you access to the database, and you can develop your own custom reports directly with that database, right? So we are not providing our own reports using IBM Cognos, but if you are an IBM Cognos customer, you can implement your reports against our data in a fairly documented way. Okay, I think that were the three parts of the questions.
Great, thank you, Ehud. Another question came in. Does it support SSO and advanced authentication? Are there canned reports for these products? Yeah, so I'll defer that to the product managers of these products. I think that they are on a journey as well to provide content for customers to do the reports. So I'll defer on that one. Sorry. Okay, let's take that as mentioned. What are other Identity and Access Management Suite products? What other Identity and Access Management Suite products will leverage the new CABI 6.2? Yeah, so I know that the PEM product has a roadmap around that, and I think that let's take that as an action item to actually complete both questions post the meeting and provide just a little bit insight around that. There was also an announcement in the community that was broader than just Identity Suite, talking about what version exactly and what is the expected time frame
to deliver Jasper implementation for the other products. And I don't remember all of that immediately, but we can answer that after the call and give you the pointer to that published data.
Yeah, and I'll post a link to that in the chat window right now.
Okay.
Another question, does the CABI 6.2 work with Postgres?
So right now we have certified and tested Microsoft SQL and Oracle database. We want to make sure that additional databases that we will support are aligned with the overall Identity Suite strategy, right? And one of the items in our backlog is to support across the Identity Suite an open source database, may it be MySQL or Postgres. This is still an ongoing discussion internally, which one we want to choose. And I do ask the team to think about that. We had also some ideas in the ideation side talking about that exact point, and we do want to support one of them. And so the question for the community would be to pick up to help us pick up the right approach around that. So I do see that as something that in the future we will probably want to consider, an open source database implementation. Okay.
Great, thank you. Another question, if clients are heavily invested, oh, we already answered that one. All right, this question, all right, are there any extra licenses required to use JasperSoft Designer?
Okay, perfect question. I kind of assume that the question is based on the experience with the Boxy implementation. In the Boxy implementation, for those who are not familiar with that, the actual report designer was something that you had to purchase from SAP. It was not included in the embedded business intelligence. With the Jasper implementation, this is different. So every customer of Identity Suite has access to the Jasper Studio, that is the reporting designer, at no additional cost. You will, however, be required to go to the Jasper site, register, and then you can get the studio for free. There is a process to follow there, but it is available without additional cost to customers. Okay.
All right, another question. A follow-up question to that question, actually. Does JasperSoft report multi-tenancy? In other words, can I use the same JasperSoft server for 2 or more IMEs?
Yeah, that's actually a good question that I'm not sure right now. Let me, instead of answering a half answer, let me take that offline and publish an answer for that question. I think that's a great question.
Okay. What are the options to export the reports in files and into enterprise reporting systems and in the external reporting services?
Yeah, let me read that for a second. So the reporting, as you saw, we have a bunch of different options to export the content, different file types, right? So you can export the data as a PDF, for example, or as an Excel, or CSV, and use the data this way. So that is provided out of the box. One of the additional enhancements, and there are going to be enhancements to the reporting platform now that we establish this basic framework that we are going to use. One of the items that are in the queue for consideration is a little bit more scheduled report distribution. So let's say every beginning of a quarter, you want to run a set of reports automatically, and then distribute that across the enterprise to the right owners. Maybe publish it in a file share, maybe send it over email to multiple owners. So things like that will be implemented hopefully in the future. But that's kind of one of the items in the backlog, not available right now in GA.
Okay. Do you need to run ETL process for IG to get the report?
So the reports are reported on the IG data, right? So if you imported the data into IG, that data is available and we can run the reports for that. So we haven't, reduced that need to import the data into IG. But once it's there, you can run the reports on top of that.
Does each IAM environment tenant have their own report database? Is the data separated or hidden from the other environment tenant?
Yeah, so so I don't think that any of that changed versus the version before, right? So the actual reporting database, the audit database, and snapshot database is exactly the same implementation that it was before. There are several enhancements around some of that capability in the backlog as well.
Okay. One slide mentioned Jasper Studio. Is that included as well, or do we need to get that separately?
Yeah, I think that's a duplicate of a question asked before around the reporting designer. Yes.
So yes, they do need to get it separately.
They need to get it separately, but at no additional cost. And that's really the big point around that, right? You go to Jasper site, you register, and you get the studio available for you. Gotcha.
Okay. I'll just put that in the writing, so since it was asked a few times. Does JasperSoft suggest to run on the separate machine than IG or IDM?
Right. So I think that our documentation is also talking about the same points, right? We recommend for production environment to distribute the load across multiple machines. So you have a machine that is running the JasperSoft server and serving both IAM and IG, right? But on a separate machine. That's kind of the recommendation, but it really depends on the load that you have. If you have a very, if you have a small deployment and you have only, few end users that are actually running the report and you don't expect any major impact of that, you can obviously deploy it on the same server. It's the usual kind of sizing and architecture discussion that we have on other components and the ability to distribute them. The product supports both models.
Okay, before I ask the next question, I just want to remind everyone that I just launched a poll to rate today's webcast, so please answer that when you get a chance. The next question is from Anthony. From an application server perspective, are other platforms support like WebSphere or WebLogic, or is Tomcat the only option?
Yeah, so this is actually related to a broader topic around the platform support metrics and some optimizations that we want to do there. While the reporting server itself might, the underlying technology may support other application servers, we want to focus on a very particular implementation to really make sure that we are providing the best knowledgeable advice on how to operate that. So the answer is we support only Tomcat, and at this stage we don't have a plan to extend that to additional application servers. Okay.
Okay. What is the learning curve for Jasper? Will it be possible to move report development to the business users, or will it continue to require developer resources?
Yeah. So let me actually use the opportunity and see if we have some of the dev lead here. They can talk a little bit about their own experience from there. So Satbir, are you here? Are you able to speak?
Hila, I just unmuted your line.
I think he was looking for Satbir.
Oh. Let me see. No, I don't see him.
Okay. Okay, so I think that for our team, our development team, it wasn't a huge undertaking to learn the platform. I think it was kind of what they expected. I think you still need to have some developer expertise in order to write the report as well. It's not a simple drag and drop and you're done. And usually our report tend to kind of merge together data from multiple entities, and they tend to be a little bit more complex as well.
Okay, another question. Do we need to run ETL process from identity governance to get the JasperSoft report?
Yeah, I think that's another duplicate. We talked a little bit about that, right? Yeah.
Sorry about that. What is the timeline? Yeah, I've seen a few SSO questions come in. I'll talk to the SSO team and see if they can set up a separate webcast, but if you have any questions about CABI integration or CABI support for SSO or SiteMinder, feel free to post those in the community, and the product team will answer those there. But I will definitely let them know that a few questions came up on this call today so that they know. But Ehud is here specifically talking about Identity Suite. Where can we get help from JasperSoft when we encounter issues?
Yeah, so as with every embedded component, right, once we embed a component, it's kind of our responsibility to make sure that you can take advantage of that to the best way. So we do expect you in this case to contact us first. We'll be the first line of support, and if we need to, we'll escalate to Jasper, and we have all the contracts there to make sure that we have kind of a priority in the queue, especially if we can mention specific customer names and things like that. But we are here to provide the support. Okay.
Okay, I don't see any other questions that we haven't answered at this time. If anyone wants to ask a question over the phone, feel free to do so by unmuting your line. You can press #6 or *6. One thing that I wanted to mention is that there is support posted on the community and on each product page as well, so make sure you look at that. And we will be posting the recording from today's webcast to the security community. If you haven't been to the communities before, it's communities.ca.com, or you can go to ca.com/talksecurity to access the security community directly. And we'll be posting the slides and recording as a video from today's webcast there. I'll also send out a follow-up email with links to those pieces of content in the community to everyone who attended today's webcast as well. So we'll just give another minute to ask any questions over the phone line. Again, if you need to unmute your line, just press #6 or *6.
Okay, and in any case, I just want to say that I really, happy with the number of questions and the conversation that we just had. I think that that's kind of showing that this is relevant for you, and that's kind of the model that we had in mind in doing this. So thank you for the participation.
Yeah, thank you, Ehud. This was great, and thank you everyone for attending. If there's no other questions, then we'll go ahead and end today's community webcast. If you think of any other questions, feel free to post them in the community. Ehud, Hilla, and the rest of the product team monitor the community to answer your questions, so feel free to post them there under the CA Identity Suite category. If you have any questions about the community, you can feel free to email me. I'm going to be sending out a follow-up email, so feel free to just respond to that email if you have any questions, and I'm happy to help show you around the community and find what you're looking for. So again, thank you, Ehud, and thank you everyone for joining. I hope you all have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you again soon on a new community webcast. Stay tuned.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.